Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast. Presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the MitsuTimes podcast. My guest today is Mr. Nick Mohan. He is the owner and driver of the 15G record-holding Evo for Canada. And how are you today, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. For those that don't know, the 15G is the factory stock turbo for the Evo 10, and it has quite a lot of potential. Is that right, Nick?
I would say so, yeah. More than most people think.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, Nick, let's kick this thing off. What is it that got you into the world of performance cars and motorsports?
Honestly, for me, it was kind of an accident.
Okay.
I always wanted an Evo, but I didn't really think anything of a stock turbo or performance too much. I just liked the car, and I'm sure we'll get into that later. But I'd bought the car. There was a roll race event going on at our track, TMP Cayuga. So I just went, took it out. It was completely stock. Went to see what it could do. Just had some fun, and I got really competitive. Really started to enjoy it, and that's kind of how this happened.
That's definitely understandable. So what is it that drew you to the Evo 10 specifically?
I feel like it was a little bit of video games, but so I used to play Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, drive a red Evo 8 when I was super young, 5-6 years old on the original Xbox. And I didn't really know this yet, but my dad, we're from Trinidad, back in Trinidad, he had I think it was 1980 Lancer GSR. It was a box type Lancer that he had taken the carbureted motor out of. And I don't know if you know, but there's I think it's called the EX2000 Turbo, and it comes with the 4G63T.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so he took that out, repainted the entire car, swapped the motor in, did all the wiring, everything for it, fully done up, especially for what it was, made good power. I never even knew any of that. I would always see the car when we would go on vacation. And I guess as I kind of learned more about it, I kind of got drew more to the Mitsubishis in general, learned about the Evo, and kind of got sucked in.
That's super cool. I love those, the older Lancers, the box type ones.
Yeah, they're super cool. His made great power.
Especially for such a light frame, I bet that thing was a rocket ship.
Yeah, he has some good stories of some racing that he did back in the day.
Awesome. So, Nick, is this your first Evo, or have you had any more?
No, this is my first Evo. I had a Lancer before. A lot of people couldn't afford the Evo at the time, and then I was going to sell my Lancer and get an Evo, but then COVID was going on, things were kind of expensive, and I was like, maybe I could just get a GR86 because it was a little bit cheaper. And then I ended up crashing my Lancer just before I bought the GR86. I was supposed to go sign everything for it, and my car hydroplaned on the highway, and then I changed my mind. My sister kind of talked me out of it. She told me to get the Evo. It's something you've always wanted. A GR86 will fulfill your needs for the moment, but you'll get tired of it, kind of.
Fate led you to this car, pretty much.
It was, yeah, because I had went and looked at the car, this exact car, a month and a little bit ago, and then things weren't really working out with the dealership versus what they wanted for it and finance and all that stuff. So I kind of I said, forget it, I'll just get something else that's more reasonable. And then, I don't know, just things worked out. The car was still for sale when I went back online to look at it. And yeah, I went in one day just to go look at it, and that was it. I went with my parents, everybody loved it. Of course my dad did. Yeah.
When you first saw it, did you know you had to have it?
Yeah, well, I didn't think it would really be possible, like I said, because of everything kind of going on with the economy and things. So I really wanted it, and it was really clean. One big thing for me with looking for an Evo, because I had looked at a bunch actually, but none of them really did it for me. They were always like either winter driven, heavily beat on, or had a lot of body damage, or little things like they were in '08. Like I wanted a specific car, and this car pretty much checked everything.
All the boxes.
Yeah. It was clean, low kilometers, hadn't really been winter driven, had all the service history, came with the window sticker actually, which is pretty cool in my opinion. And the car was like pristine.
That's super cool. So, like I said earlier, Nick, you're still running the factory 15G turbo. What made you stick with the 15G? You know, I know it's so tempting to go bigger.
It is really tempting to go bigger. Even right now, sometimes I'm kind of tempted, but the feeling of like the stock turbo, especially with the way my car's set up, it makes a lot of torque. It really like throws you back in the seat, and especially for what it is, it's kind of surprising. Like driving around on the street, it's not a race car. I do daily the car in the summer. Well, drive it as much as I can, and just like the feeling on the street, you do like you're going onto the highway, you roll into it a little bit. It gives you the feeling of excitement. It doesn't really have that lag. You know, just peppy.
For sure. I can understand that.
And I feel like the car is pretty competitive. I've raced a lot faster cars, a lot newer cars, and I think like right now the way it's set up, it's competitive.
What kind of classes are you just saying it's competitive in general, or is there like a particular like class or something that you're saying is competitive?
I think for anything comparable, like Golf R's, STIs, the new Elantra N's, like anything that I've raced, I think the car, I mean, I've beat everything so far, Honda Civic Type R's. Anything that should be in it, like in my car's class, power level and all that, I've beaten them. And then I've raced like my cousin's stock RS3, his Camaros, few cars, and the car kept up well for what it is.
Okay. Well, Nick, your 15G is the record in Canada, but it's number 6 in the world on our list at least. And it's so close between number 2 and number 6. I mean, the 5 cars there have like a couple tenths in between. So what are the supporting mods that you're pushing this 15G with that's making it so quick?
I don't think I have anything really crazy. I'll list off like quickly just the mods I've done. I have a map tubular manifold, full Tomei catback, test pipe, STM recirc downpipe, MAP 3.5-inch intercooler, tile QRJ, ETS intake, ETS upper intercooler, a Hallman Pro manual boost controller, and then I just recently put in a ACT clutch. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So is it tuning maybe? What are you doing with the ECU or your tuning strategy?
So I don't tune the car personally. It's Hiram from H Tuning. But I think the big thing is I think Canadian pump gas makes a pretty big difference. And I think the setup, I think people kind of cheap out a little bit with the like stock turbo.
Yeah, I can see that.
I feel like people think because it's a stock turbo that everybody thinks like the classic Evo thing where it's like, oh, big turbo built all this. But I think if you give the car a chance, like you just put good parts on it and you know, it'll do well.
That leads me perfectly into my next question. What has been the most surprising thing about the 15G's performance?
Yeah, kind of just like I said before, the power. I was really surprised. I didn't even know I was just like everybody else. Like I said, 2-liter, 2.2-liter, whatever, fully built car. Like that's what you think when you think Evo. I feel like most people do anyways. And I didn't really know much. I was kind of new to it still, and I didn't even know that my car could make any of that. I thought it would be like 340-ish wheel, maybe lower. Like I didn't really have high expectations of it overall. It's when I really got into the community and kind of saw and heard what the stock turbo could do is when I kind of figured it out.
Well, you talked a little bit about the horsepower numbers, but let's talk about your quarter mile numbers. What has been your personal best so far?
So far, personal best is what we posted, 12:07 at 117 miles an hour. Sorry. Hopefully 11 soon.
Yeah. Once you get into 11s, I mean, that's top 3, top 4 territory. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the car 100% has 11s in it. Easily.
So how does the car feel at the track with its current setup? Is there any like tweaks or anything that you think need to be made to get to that 11?
Honestly, we were considering, everybody was trying to tell me to go back out that same day, go for the 11s, because I have Tephra V3, which enables flat foot shifting and all that. And even though the stock turbo spool is quicker, it's just, I feel like those few seconds that it takes just to rebuild that little bit of boost makes a difference. I didn't, like, when I ran the 12.0 past, I didn't flat foot 1 to 2, and I didn't flat foot 2 to 3. I kind of just forgotten about it. And I think that alone should get me into the 11s.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's precious time right there.
I do have some things that I want to do before I go. I don't know if I'll get to it, but I do have a Rally Art mechanical diff that I want to revise, clean up, and put in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So launch a little bit harder. And the electronic diff isn't bad. Like, I've launched a good few times on it so far, and I mean it's held up so far.
I've heard that that's a pretty common swap.
Yeah. So it's actually PSI for TSI is the one I got it. I got the Rally Art diff off of. He's been helping me a lot.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Cope Performance. They are a full-service performance shop located in Tamaqua, Pennsylvania, and specialize in all things Mitsubishi. Cope Performance builds with quality and performance in mind, from full engine builds, transmission work, powder coating services, and fabrication. You can get your entire build done in one spot, knowing that every step of the way was done with passion and precision. Excellent customer service, fair pricing, and friendly staff makes working with Cope Performance an easy choice for all your build needs. Check out all they have to offer at Cope Performance LLC on Facebook and Instagram. So, in your opinion, what has been the biggest limitation of sticking to the factory 15G?
The limitation, I want to say the lack of top end is the biggest thing. Because the 15G is great, like I said, street driving, kind of like just cruising, having fun with it, it's great, but like at the real top end, especially like for the drag strip, you really have to get a good launch. I mean, usually that is the case, but you really, really have to get a good launch with the 15G because there's nothing up top.
So that's where it's really limited.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, after pushing the 15G so hard and making it really work, have you had any mechanical failures with the 15G, or have they pretty much all stayed together?
Honestly, the 15G has been, like, my experience with it so far, I haven't had any issues. I mean, with the car. I mean, I've made mistakes. I've almost money shifted the car, but thankfully that didn't happen. The turbo's been great, though. No problems whatsoever.
Good. Well, hopefully you keep from money shifting.
Yeah. I was a little bit newer to it. Still trying to learn, but haven't done that in a while.
So you talked about the 15G holding together, but what about the Evo as a whole? How have you been able to keep it so reliable while pushing it so hard?
I think I've probably just done, honestly, probably not a lot of people do this, but I've maintained the car like very well. I'm very strict with like oil changes, spark plugs, like changing gear oil in the trans and the diff, like all the little things add up. I think a lot of people, I don't know how it is in the US, but especially in Canada, people kind of buy Evos and they kind of neglect them. They don't really treat them that well, and then they break, like most cars will, and they get mad at the car. But I don't think it's that. I think just maintain the car like it's supposed to. Like it's a high performance sports car. You want to push something, you got to be on the ball with that kind of stuff. That and also driving, especially like maybe not with the MR, but with GSRs, you really have to learn kind of how to drive these cars with the boost and the way, if you're running a manual boost controller or whatever, like the way power comes on. Careful not to be like hitting in a high gear. I mean, it's common knowledge to a lot of people, but I've seen it done before. So
out of the mistakes or maybe the breakages that you've had along the way, what lessons have you learned that you plan to use going forward?
I haven't had anything really like break other than like installing downpipe, typical things. The bolts broke inside the hot side of the turbo, so we ended up pulling the hot side and retapping everything, cleaning up, chasing threads, like everything, like making 100% again. I had a little bit of a funny issue where the manifold bolts were backing out. I did not know that there's a special washer needed for the manifold. There's 2 special conical washers that you have to stack together. Learn something new. What else? We had a little tuning issue where once we flashed Tephra V3, the car wouldn't make boost on the electronic boost controller. It would only go to wastegate. That ended up being an octane rating issue in the ECU, I believe. And other than that, I've been having kind of a weird issue with my clutch that me and Lucian have been trying to figure out. Still racking my brain on that one, but we shall see.
Okay. Well, are you someone that likes to just max out the stock components, or since you talked about the 15G running out of breath up top, are you planning to eventually upgrade?
I am, so I do have some plans to upgrade in the future. I have a spare block that eventually, I don't know when, I wanna build 2.2 liter stroker, something like that. But I'm kind of tempted now after seeing this car run 12s. I kind of want to try what it can do on ethanol.
I heard that's hard to get up in Canada, right?
It is hard to get, but it's not impossible.
Gotcha.
So we might try that before we upgrade turbos or anything crazy.
Well, that leads me perfectly into my next question. What are your personal goals with this Evo? Is it do you want to build it to a certain class, or do you just want to slowly upgrade and enjoy it?
I kind of want to slowly upgrade and enjoy it. I know everybody loves the 1,000 horsepower Evos that they see on YouTube and all that stuff, but for me, like, I really enjoy driving my car on the street. That's a big thing to me. It's not a drag car by any means. It is more of a street car. So I want to make it as enjoyable. I would like to make more power eventually, but as enjoyable on the street as it can be.
I feel like once you take it off the street, you're going to miss the streetability of it.
Yeah, that's trying to find that balance I feel like it's pretty difficult.
Now, we've heard that the community up in Canada is pretty tight-knit, so I want to talk about how the Evo Mitsubishi community up there has really helped you on this journey.
Well, so I'd originally got my car, no knowledge of any Evo communities, no knowledge of nothing. I was just kind of going to figure it out on my own. And then I met one of my good friends now, Xerxes, and he introduced me to everybody like Isaac, Rohan, Lucian, all these guys. And funny enough, I was never planning on going full bolt-ons with my car as soon as I did, and it was Rohan who kind of manipulated me a little bit. Not manipulated, but he
peer pressured me,
yeah. And he really helped me. He really helped me choose parts and stuff. I kind of have a similar setup to him. He has the 18K, I have the stock turbo, but yeah, like I wasn't going to do anything. I bought an intercooler, and I'm like, I'll buy like another part in a little bit and slowly build up parts, and then I'll throw it on. And then he kept mentioning parts and things for sale, and you know how that goes.
Oh yeah, it's a slippery slope then.
Very slippery slope.
Recently, you went to the Mitsubishi Lancer Turbo Club, drag strip meet. Are there any other kind of meets or events that you attend?
I I try to attend everything, especially when it's with the guys that we all hang out with. Like, it's always a really good time. Just laugh, have fun, enjoy the cars. Meets in Ontario are not as great as they used to be. They're kind of cracking down on that, so most of them get shut down. I used to enjoy those a lot. Other than that, we do fun, just cruises around Ontario, just hang out.
Nick, is there somebody that you look up to in the Evo world, or is there a particular Evo that inspired your build? Maybe that Evo 8 from the Need for Speed game?
Honestly, people I look up to would definitely be like Xerxes, Lucian, Isaac, and Ryan. I would say that's like the top 4 guys that really like had the biggest impact. Xerxes' car, especially because you probably don't know this, but he was essentially the fastest stock turbo in Canada at the time, and there was a little bit of drama between me and him at one point, and I was gonna get tuned by STM. Something happened and it made me switch to H tuning, and then me and him ended up racing, and I didn't expect this whatsoever, honestly, but I beat him in a race, and that kind of made me want to push the stock turbo even more, so that's a big aspect, and me and him are good now, so shout out to Xerxes.
Good deal. Good deal. There's nothing wrong with a friendly rivalry.
Friendly rivalry, that's it.
Nick, do you ever see yourself jumping to a different platform?
For sure. Definitely. I love cars in general. I love everything. I don't really have a preference. I like JDM cars. I like the Japanese style Evo Supras, but lately the last couple of years I've been looking at a C6 Z06. I think that might have to be the next car. Not going to sell the Evo though.
Nothing wrong with the Corvette.
They look fun, man. Something different, naturally aspirated V8.
Yep. So if budget wasn't an issue, let's say you hit the lottery, what would your dream Evo build look like?
If I hit the lottery, I would definitely be doing what I planned. Me and my friend Andrew, who's also helped me a lot, so shout out to him. Me and him always talk about how it takes 25 grand, no matter what car it is, it takes 25 grand to build a race car. And I'd probably go like full out standalone 2.2 liter big turbo, bigger turbo, the full 9 yards.
Well, Nick, let's say somebody out there, I'm sure there's a ton of people with the 15G, and maybe they're waiting to upgrade to a bigger turbo before they drag race. What advice would you give them, for their build, or, just to go out and enjoy their car as it is?
I would definitely say, like I said, quality parts, big thing. People cheap out on parts. It's not a good idea. That's how things break, and things like Evos will get a bad reputation, but you have to buy quality parts with anything else. And tuning is huge. Not anybody can tune. I'm sure anybody can tune an Evo, but will it perform compared to somebody who knows the platform inside and out? No. So I think that's a big thing people don't really pay attention to.
It's amazing how much power could be added just from a tune.
For sure.
Well, Nick, on a funner note, if your Evo was a fictional character in a book or a movie, who would it be?
I think it would be, I have to say, Jaws. Be the shark from Jaws.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, where can people find and follow you on social media so they can see, what you do to continue pushing the 15G and what you do in the future?
So on Instagram, they can follow me at evox.nick, and on TikTok, evox_Nick.
And then, Nick, at the end, I always give people a chance to give a thanks or a shout out to anybody who's helped them out along the way, anybody who's helped get their car where it is. You've already named a few, but go ahead and run down your list of everybody who's helped out.
Yeah, I'll kind of say it again. Shout out to one of my best friends, Andrew, who helped me pretty much do all the mechanical work on the car, all the upgrades, everything. thank you for Lucian for all the guidance, leading me to the right path, path of success. Shout out to Isaac and Rohan for helping me with parts and tuning. Hiram for actually tuning the car. And shout out to all my other boys, Rico, Michael, Sebastian, Xerxes, Igor. Great guys.
Awesome. Got a whole village behind you.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah,
People forget that.
Well, Nick, thanks so much for coming on here and taking the time to tell your story, and I can't wait to see that 11-second slip come through the inbox.
Hopefully soon, man.
Yes, sir. Well, it was good talking to you.
Good talking to you. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.